up, guys? I figured I'd be doing more videos with a free agent frenzy promise, but it's kind of been pretty dull so far. I will do a video of the free agents that have signed tomorrow. Hopefully, we will get some Braves news to spice it up a little bit, because to this point, we've only had signing Chadwick Tromp to a $720,000 minor league deal. The catcher, it's just a depth move, but we do have 4 catchers on the 40-man, so that could be spelling something interesting. Who knows? But again, catching is like gold, and we have a lot of it. So for my top 5 Saturday list today, I'm going to go through some burning questions for the Braves in 2022 in terms of roster and things that we need to watch during spring training. Obviously, it's going to be ramped up really, really fast, and these are in no particular order, obviously. Number 5 for me is, what are we going to do with that 5-starter spot? Is it going to be a veteran? Are we going to trade for something? Chris Bassitt going to the Mets would have been a nice fit. He is in his walk year, but he's struck out 25%, so that's kind of a good move for the Mets, and that's hard for me to say. But so that's kind of off the table as an option there. But there are not a lot of veterans. Maybe a Tyler Anderson. Clayton Kershaw went back to the Dodgers on a 1-year, $17 million deal. But we do have a lot of depth. You go Kyle Muller, Kyle Wright, Touki Toussaint, Sean Newcomb. We don't really have, and with Charlie Morton's injury, will he be ready to go? Because right now you have Charlie Morton, Max Fried, and Ian Anderson, and some questions. Tucker Davidson, do you go that route, or do you go veterans? Even though I don't know that there's a lot of veterans left on the market. But again, Alex Anthopoulos loves those 1-year deals, but we haven't seen a lot of movement yet. So the 5th starter spot, I think we have a lot of depth there, so we might go with one of our youngsters, and hopefully they take a big step. My gut kind of says Tucker Davidson. I just really liked what he gave us in spots last year, even though he had an injury that kind of thwarted his opportunity in 2021. And can Kyle Wright build off of that amazing performance in World Series Game 4? So we'll see. Kyle Wright, and Oscar Ynoa as well, coming off that shoulder issue. We'll see how that works. Will Mike Soroka, although I think we all should set our expectations low there. But the 5th starter spot's kind of a question mark, 4th and 5th, to be honest. But those are some options, and so that's one of them. Number 4 is the right side for our bullpen. You've obviously got the night shift. You've got Tyler Matzek, AJ Minter, Will Smith, that 3-headed monster. You got Luke Jackson from the right side, Luke Elite Jackson, Will J. Jackson, who we acquired earlier in the offseason, become a big factor. 95 to 97 fastball, 85 slider, and 86 changeup. So good 3-pitch mix there. I'm kind of expecting him to take a step forward maybe. You've got Darren O'Day, who we signed to a minor league deal, and if he makes the roster, it's $1 million. Again, we know what Darren O'Day features. His stuff may be on the decline, but again, you've got the sidearm, the different look, the veteran, and will he be able to stay healthy? Who knows? But again, it's a high risk, high reward, low risk type of move. Kirby Yates could be a late addition as he's recovering from Tommy John surgery. I would say September, October for him, for an October run. He was the best closer a couple of years ago with the San Diego Padres, so that's an interesting storyline to follow. But maybe Spencer Strider, who got a cup of coffee with the team last year and was on the NLDS roster against the Brewers, didn't get in a game, but you can't teach 101 and a nasty, nasty slider, so he's a person to look at. William Woods, I've always been intrigued by him. We'll see. He's from the right side as well. But again, there's a lot of questions from the right side and the longer relief type guys. Is that going to be a Touki Toussaint or a Sean Newcomb or something different there as well? So that's another storyline to follow during spring training and beyond, especially with the 5 option limit. With the new CBA, that might be altered because starting pitchers won't be stretched out to 100 pitches because of the rapid build up to regular games. So we will see how that works, and the rosters being 28 to 30 there. So that should be an interesting storyline to follow as well. Number 3 is do we trust that Christian Pache, again, still a top prospect in the Braves organization, is he what we want to go with in center field? He's obviously not a finished product offensively, the strikeout bug, and of course the injuries and leg injuries, hamstring, groin, kind of hampered him in 2021. So I think this is a really huge year for Pache. You've still got speed. He's still a Gold Glove defender anytime you put him out there. So that could be the start. But would we look to get a Brian Reynolds or something of that nature to have him in center field? And also you've got Ronald Acuna Jr. rehabbing from the ACL. So it's pretty much a lot of questions in the outfield. Adam Duvall will be back. Guillermo Heredia will be back. And Marcell Ozuna, you presume, as he's on the roster right now, he would be the DH. But I think another outfield option would be nice. Depth, because we do have a lot of depth in the minors with Drew Waters. Again, the strikeout bug is an issue for him. Michael Harris, super young, but opened a lot of eyes in spring training over the last couple of years. Kind of a left-handed version of Ronald Acuna Jr., and that's scary and so amazing to think about. But the outfield is definitely, again, I've used this term all offseason and during the lockout, is definitely a muddy situation. But I'm sure Alex Anthopoulos and company will figure that out. And usually when you have things like that, they kind of work themselves out in spring training and beyond. But I think Christian Pache, giving him a shot right now isn't the worst thing in the world. So that is number 3. Number 2 is what... I don't know. Well, it's kind of number 2 and number 1 because everybody's been asking me what I think about Freddie Freeman. Obviously, the easy answer is sign Freddie Freeman and got him at first base for a while because Alex Anthopoulos has never been one to shell out prospects, and Matt Olson being 28, 4 years younger than Freddie, and 2 years left to control. It's gonna. You would think it would take a king's ransom to acquire him, but I don't know that for a fact because the Chris Bassett trade was pretty good for the Mets and a couple of journeyman big arm pitchers from the Mets. So maybe the price has gone down. I'm not sure about that, but Alex Anthopoulos has been pretty stingy about the big-time trades, and sometimes it's the trades you don't make, the Austin Rileys, the things of that nature that's been bantied about over the years. So that, or do you go, depending on what Freddie does, obviously Freddie's probably the easiest and number one option, but do you go Anthony Rizzo? But Anthony Rizzo is the same age as Freddie Freeman, and I think Freddie Freeman is better than Anthony Rizzo. No disrespect whatsoever meant there. Anthony Rizzo is amazing. I would just, if I was choosing between those two. So again, or do something crazy, which I really, really don't want to happen, moving Riley to the first base and getting a third baseman, which you would probably have to trade, do a trade then too. So that just seems too convoluted there. So there's definitely a lot of questions, more than answers for the Braves. I mean, Charlie Morton's progressing well from the injury, but it is a broken leg. Again, I talked about Mike Soroka. Don't know what we're getting there. We're still in a good spot, and coming off a World Series, it makes it easier to have all these questions, but I think center field's big, first base is big. What you're doing in the outfield, I hope we get some clarity over the next 24, 48 hours, because it's been crazy me trying to rack our brains, trying to figure out what we're doing, because we haven't done much. But also the fourth catcher, Chadwick Tromp, gives us a plethora of catchers, so you could see a trade to help us improve other areas that we need. I would love to see Ozuna traded somehow, but I know that contract and that situation is wonky, so we will see. This was kind of just not really a top 5 list, but all things Braves. As always, go Braves, champions forever. Hopefully we'll get some clarity, and tomorrow I promise I will go through all of the free agent moves, no matter if it's Braves related or not. So you can catch that all here, plus all of the spring training updates and games when they get started next week. As always, go Braves. Make sure you subscribe.